podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to ZPG Ice Maidens, the only dedicated Women's National Ice Hockey League podcast.
Part of the ZPG network of UK ice hockey podcasts.
We're in partnership with
the Hockey Art Club, hockey clothing for hockey people.
Worn by the best
and hated by the rest.
Listen to the ZPG network.
Get a 10% discount on everything
at hockeyartclothing.co.uk.
Just enter the code ZP10 on checkout to get your discount.
We're also part of the Sports Social Podcast Network,
the biggest sports podcast network in Europe,
boasting over 450 podcasts
for more than 15 different sports.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of ZPG Ice Maidens. We have a lot to get through, including a very busy news desk. So, without further delay, let's get going. GBU have been taking part in the FISU World University Winter Games this month, a biannual event taking place at the Palasport Tazzoli in Torino. Included in the squad were 4 players from the Kingston Diamonds, Jazz Little, Ketz Robinson, Georgia Ashton and Ishbel Wright, while Whitley Bay's Clare Turnbull, Emily Luck, Caitlin Morrison and Caitlin Stocks were also called up. Also included were Elite League players Viv McGee of Streatham, Leonie Charles of Guildford, Amy Kingsby of the Queen Bees and Maddie Wright of Solihull. Caledonia defensive duo Jess Malloy and Jordan Troop were involved, along with Nottingham pair Charlotte Sims and Grace Ralphs. Others were Sheffield's Chloe Carter, Charlotte Cramp of Widnes and Matilda Ravel of Bristol, along with former Sheffield and Kingston goal-scoring machine Eleanor Cooper, who now plays in the WNIHL with Nottingham Mavericks, Canadian-born goalie Holly Behan, who is with the Oxford Women Blues, and former Queen Bees playoff final MVP Sophie Games, who is now stateside with Salem State in the NCAA. Beacons forward Abby Coulshaw and former Beacons defender Aisling Rafter were amongst the assistant coaches who were in Italy. The results didn't fall in GB's favour, however, with a 20-0 defeat to Slovakia before a 14-0 loss to Canada and an 8-0 reverse to Chinese Taipei. That saw GBU finish bottom of their group. A 14-0 loss to USA in the placement round of the playoffs saw GBU face Chinese Taipei for a second time, with a 6-0 defeat in the 7th place game, meaning GBU finished 8th. But despite the results, the main thing was the enjoyment and prestige of playing out in Italy and representing GB universities. What an incredible experience for them at the FISU Games. GB Under-18s have been in World Championship action in Riga this week. We will have a full special episode for you next week. So we'll move on to the GB Under-16s, who have also been busy with the latest trials camp being held in Sheffield last weekend. Sheffield Shadows showed up strong, as you would imagine, with amazing representation from their girls. Nancy Baker, Macy Wakeford, Eva Solossi, Lexi Yellett-Bilby, Kira and Molly Houghton were all in attendance. Caledonia Iron Maidens and Steel Queens were also represented well. Macy Simpson, Molly Walker, Megan MacArthur and Violet Mayer all being involved. Best of luck to you all. The recent cold snap we have been having throughout January has at least created some positives, with frozen ponds and lakes up and down the country. The Cambridgeshire Fens looked more like Mystery Alaska last week, so it proved a perfect opportunity for Clare Parker and some of her Kodiak's teammates to get in some pond hockey. Canadian-born forward Christina Ashley and local girl Ruby Allen were among the ones taking part at Upware near Ely. And for anyone wanting to go for a skate, please do get in touch with Fen Ice Skating. Meanwhile, at the other end of the country, we had the Ayrshire Winter Classic taking place in Irvine. Caledonia's Chloe Young was amongst the players involved, and she commented on what was a great day, which started with a sunrise skate. My heart has never felt so full. Pond hockey makes me so emotional. Growing up watching Mighty Ducks, seeing Gordon Bombay out on the ponds, always a childhood dream. And when fantasy becomes reality, I just felt a very overwhelming sense of joy. So thankful to be able to play here in my hometown, less than 5 minutes from my house. A very special day indeed. Thanks to everyone who came and played a memory I will cherish forever. We stay for our next news report in Scotland, and we mentioned a couple of weeks ago how the Dundee Royals were going to come and form a new team for women's hockey. Well, this week we had the announcement of two further teams who have started up, starting with Fife's newest women's ice hockey team. The club posted this statement last week. We're excited to unveil the Arctic Foxes, a brand new women's ice hockey team right here in Fife, with a shared passion for the sport and a drive to grow women's ice hockey in the community. We can't wait to get started and hit the ice skating. Whether you're a seasoned player, new to the game, or simply love cheering from the stands, the Arctic Foxes are here to welcome you. This is more than just a team, it's a movement to build something incredible for women's ice hockey in our area. Keep an eye out for announcements about games, training sessions, and how to join us. Let's build something amazing together. Stay sharp, stay fierce, stay Arctic. Indeed, and with the cool-looking new logo of a grey fox with a pink background, we can't wait to see what their jerseys will look like too. Soon after, they announced that Scott Plews and Gary Miller, two passionate advocates for ice hockey, were announced as the men behind the creation of the Fife Arctic Foxes. Based in Kirkcaldy, the Arctic Foxes aim to inspire and empower female athletes while growing the sport in the heart of Fife, a region with a rich hockey heritage. With a commitment to fostering talent, teamwork and community, Scott and Gary envision the Arctic Foxes becoming a presence on the ice and a hub for developing the next generation of female players. The first session took place at Fife Ice Arena yesterday, Thursday the 23rd of January at 5:45pm. It was a 1-hour session, so we await news of how that turned out. Following on from the Fife announcement, we heard yet more exciting news that a third new Scottish team was starting up. Aisling Rafter has long been campaigning to get a team underway in the Glasgow area, and it appears as though her dream has come true after she posted the following statement. You may have seen the movement of new women's ice hockey clubs in Scotland, of which the Dundee Royals and most recently the Fife Arctic Foxes. This means the number of women's clubs in Scotland have doubled in the space of months. We too would like to add to this number for Glasgow and the West. This movement is likely due to the inspiring success of both the existing Caledonia Steel Queens and Solway Sharks Ladies, along with the formation of the new PWHL in North America, increasing the popularity for women's ice hockey. However, the efforts to expand the game in Scotland does not just stop there. I, along with some close friends and teammates, have a shared vision of creating a club which embodies an open, inclusive and friendly culture to all abilities to allow women to thrive and be empowered through sport. However, starting a club does not happen overnight and will require help. If anyone can help in the following areas, please give me a shout. We are grateful to have support from Kilmarnock to get things off the ground, but we would be grateful to any clubs with spare ice time to help fulfil this mission. We are brainstorming team names and logos, and if you have any burning suggestions to assist with this, we'd love to hear from you. Off the back of this, Aisling's Caledonia teammate Chloe Young put this video together explaining the excitement north of the border.
Hi guys, as most of you know, my name's Chloe and I play ice hockey in Scotland. Now, I have some very exciting news to share with you all, which may seem small, but it's really massive and significant for women's hockey in Scotland. So there's currently only 2 competing ladies teams, but due to there being no teams in Scotland, both teams have to play in the English League. So we have 2 teams, which is Solway Sharks Ladies, they play down in Dumfries, and we have Caledonia Steel Queens, and they play in Edinburgh. Now, it's just been released out on Facebook that they are bringing out a team from Dundee. They'll be called the Dundee Royals. We also have news of a team in Fife named the Fife Arctic Foxes, and there's also developments of a Glasgow and West team that will be based out of the Galleon and Kilmarnock. Now, that may seem small, but that's 5 teams, 5 women's teams in Scotland. Now, I think that's absolutely amazing. That's huge news, and I encourage you all to go follow and cheer on the women's games. So yeah, I absolutely cannot wait to see what the future holds for women's hockey in Scotland, and 2025 is definitely going to be a huge year for us.
We start our match reports and the roundups with the Elite League, and despite a strong performance from the Kingston Diamonds, they were unable to get anything from their game with Streatham. A short-benched Storm side took the lead through Ange Taylor with a short-handed goal towards the end of the opening period. Kingston drew back level 3 minutes into the second period when Katie Marsden scored from Mia Forbes, but Streatham was soon back ahead when Zuzana Dobrovolna scored from Jolie Hao Chong. Marsden combined with Forbes again with a couple of minutes to go in the middle session to make the game 2-2. Lizzie Saunders getting the secondary assist on the play. But a strong start from the South London side saw them net 3 times in the opening 6 minutes to spot themselves a game-winning lead. Dobrovolna scored from Taylor just 30 seconds into a restart before Izzy Whiteley made it 4-2. Dobrovolna then netched her hat-trick from another Taylor pass to make the game all but safe. Diamonds did get a goal back with 2:04 remaining when Millie Fulbourn scored on a power play from Kiana Tate for her first Elite League goal. Emily Johnson stepped up to the Elite and made 20 saves. Streatham's player of the game went to Charlotte Horvath, who made 30 saves. Solihull Vixens made it 3 out of 3 in their head-to-head encounters with Queen Bees this season, but they had to do it the hard way this time. Catherine Gale had given the home side the lead 3 minutes in when she netted from Rachel Cartwright and Hannah Byram. But Jodie Alderson-Smith equalised before the period was over, meaning it was all square heading into the second. Queen Bees had been the better of the two sides in the opening 20 minutes, outshooting the Vixens 13-7, and would again dominate in the middle session by an advantage of 12-3. They regained the lead 5 minutes in when Abby Sylvester fired home a short-handed marker from Catherine Gale. Things got even better for the Queens when Rebecca Voslinski scored inside the final couple of minutes from Leah Flahr in what was a game the home side had to win. But after being 3-1 down at the end of the second, the Vixens came out fighting in the third with 2 goals from Alisha Potts in 6 minutes, bringing the sides back level. Robin Mullen assisted on the first goal with Peyton Fincher the second. Potts, who was having a fantastic game, set up Jodie Alderson-Smith for the game winner with 2:41 left on the clock. Queen Bees threw everything at Tam Donahue, who stood strong in the Solihull goal and was supported by her Vixens teammates, putting their bodies on the line. She would take home the Vixens Player of the Game award, while Queen Bees Player of the Game went to Hannah Byram. After the game, Andrew Day spoke with a disappointed Queen Bees coach Gareth Endicott and a delighted Solihull Vixens forward Alisha Potts.
I'm with the head coach of Queen Bees and Gareth Endicott. Can I get your opinion on today's game, please?
Yeah, it was a tough one, Andrew, to be honest. You know, with 3-1 up, we knew how important today was. You know, we're 2 down in the series to the Vixens, and we needed the win today. That, you know, there's no point sugarcoating that. 3-1 up going into the third. You know, we haven't seen it out. We haven't got the job done, and that's a shame. You know, but we've got to bounce back. We've got a perfect opportunity to bounce back tomorrow. We're Streatham tomorrow, and we need a reaction right through the team for tomorrow to get back on the horse and hopefully go get a win tomorrow.
And what did you say to the guys in the timeout when they get the one back?
Well, once we called the timeout, you know, you hope for a bit of reaction. I made a slight change to the 2 lines that we're going to go for the last few minutes there. And we talked about having to play a bit desperate. You know, you go into a position where you're down like that, you have to try and get a reaction. You have to play a little bit desperate. You have to take a couple more risks and see if you can get that elusive goal that would have got us back in the game.
And you mentioned you got Streatham tomorrow. What do you train for that game?
We've got a couple of people that aren't available tomorrow, so the lineup will be changed around a little bit for tomorrow. But, you know, that's the reason we got a deep squad, and hopefully we'll have, 3 good lines going again tomorrow.
Thank you very much for your time, and good luck going Streatham tomorrow.
Cheers, Andrew.
Thank you. I'm with Alisha Potts from the Vixens, who's just won 4-3 here at Slough. What are your opinions on today's game?
I think you're a really good game. Unlucky on the score for Queen Bees, but the Vixens come back with a W.
And put a couple of goals tonight. Do you remember anything on them?
Just 2 lucky goals that just bobbled over the line.
Now, what did you say at the end of the second period when you were 3-1 down?
We were all disappointed and weren't expecting it.
You're off to Latvia soon.
Yeah.
You looking forward to that?
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
It's alright.
Thank you.
Queen Bees bounced back from narrow defeat to title rivals Solihull by claiming a win in South London over Streatham the following day, but they had to come from behind to do so after taking the lead. Catherine Gale put the Queen Bees ahead with 17 seconds left in the first period, Lestelle Ip and Rachel Cartwright getting the assists. But a strong start to the second from the home side saw them take the lead. Katie Dadd netted against her former side when she fired home from Laura Cope inside the first minute, before Ange Taylor scored 96 seconds later for a 2-1 Storm lead. The lead wouldn't quite last 4 minutes though, as Rachel Cartwright netted from Ellie Shaw's assist at 26-26, before the GB International fired home what proved to be the winner just after the midpoint of the game on the power play. Catherine Gale and Abby Sylvester with the assists. Queen Bee's player of the game went to Rachel Cartwright, with Streatham's player of the game going to Laura Cope. We move now to Division 1 North. Solway Sharks returned to home ice last weekend for the first time since the 9th of November. The game was tight from the start, with Solway taking a 2-1 lead by the end of the first, with some excellent goals from Cassie McGregor. The Dumfries-born youngster had opened the scoring in the 6th minute, but Millie Such equalised seconds later off a Kelly Walsh feed. With Cassie scoring the go-ahead goal later in the opening session, the Shadows came charging out in the second period to take a 4-2 lead. Eleanor Shaw scored at 23:33 from Such and Hazel Wilson to tie the game, before Eva Solossi netted a couple of minutes later thanks to Such again. When Leah Cheetham scored with little over a minute remaining in the period from Charlie Farr and Eva Solossi, it appeared as though the points may well be heading back down to South Yorkshire. However, the Sharks had other ideas, McGregor grabbing one back when she scored with 12 seconds left in the session with her hat-trick marker. The Sharks had the momentum back with them, and 30 seconds after a restart, McGregor picked out Finnish defender Rosa Salonen to fire home with a wrist shot from the blue line to level the game once more. There was action at both ends throughout the remainder of the game, but with no further goals. Solway's player of the game went to Emma Miller for a superb defensive effort and physicality, while the Shark of the game went to Megan MacArthur for showing determination and versatility throughout. Sheffield's player of the game went to Leah Cheetham. The Kingston Diamonds had a shaky start at home to title rivals Caledonia Steel Queens and went 3 goals down within the first half of the first period, but managed to pull it back gradually throughout the game before securing the winner in the third period. Sophie Campbell scored with just 1 minute 16 into the game when she put home from Vicky Carson and Megan Agnew. She grabbed a second a couple of minutes later from Kate Gillis and Carson again, before Gillis scored a third at the 7-minute mark from Katie Trachtenberg. However, Mia Forbes is a player you can't ignore for long, as she has the ability to hurt any team. She did just that when she netted twice in the final couple of minutes of the first period. Her opening strike coming from a Kiana Tate assist before she added a second with just seconds to go in the session. There were no further goals in the second period, but Caledonia did get awarded 2 penalty shots, one at 30 minutes 25 for tripping, and another with a minute to go for throwing the stick. Both penalties were saved, but Caledonia still held the advantage heading into the third. But just a minute 22 in, Jess Wooding fired her side back level on the power play with assists from Evie Tyndale and Grace Cooper. Mia Forbes went on to complete her hat-trick when she netted again 4 minutes later from Lizzie Saunders. A truly great game from both teams, but it's the Diamonds who take the spoils and go top of the league for the first time this season. A huge shout-out goes to Emily Johnson, who stood on her head in the Diamonds' goal, saving 2 penalty shots and a handful of breakaways. On now to Division 1 South, where the Chelmsford Cobras welcome Bristol to a Riverside for their second matchup of the season. After some delays due to issues with the ice and the unfortunate cancellation of the Pythons game at 5 p.m, the teams took to the ice at a later face-off time of 7:30 p.m. The first period saw the Huskies come out strong and took the lead just over 14 minutes into the first, Katie Edginson firing home from Mackenzie Kelly and Mila Peroni. But the Cobras' defence worked hard to limit any further goal-scoring opportunities throughout the remainder of the period, ending the first down 1-0. The second period saw lots of action, with the Huskies extending their lead, Peroni scored on a power play from Kelly just 42 seconds into the session, before Jess Jones made it 3-0 off Peroni's assist at 30-28. But Chelmsford responded well after receiving a lovely pass from Charmaine Easton in the neutral zone. Brittany Stoneman carried the puck into the Huskies' end and buried the puck to get the Cobras on the board. Bristol responded a couple of minutes later with another goal, Shannon Priest netting from Paige Breen to extend their lead. But at the next face-off, Christina Powell worked hard to gain possession in the neutral zone, carrying the puck in deep and putting it to the net, with Kezia Birchall crashing the net to knock in the rebound and earning her first Cobras goal to end the second down 4-2. Despite multiple opportunities for both sides in the third, both defences continued to shut down any chances and the score remained the same until the final buzzer. Bristol's player of the game went to Emily Benson, with Kendra Wright taking home the award for Chelmsford. A fast-paced, nail-biting game saw Milton Keynes clinch a crucial win. Cardiff took the lead a minute 18 into the game when Luann Luzo scored from Leah Cannon, but the Falcons made sure they would take a lead with them into the first break. Katie Anderton netted at 11:19 with assistance by Josie Milton and Erin Russell. The home side then took the lead a couple of minutes before the end of the session when Lizzie Archer scored off a Caitlin Barraclough feed. MK edged further ahead early into the second period when Nini Taskanen fired home from Barraclough to make it 3-1. But Cardiff were back in the game a couple of minutes later when Liv Taylor scored to cut the arrears. She brought her side back level before the period was over with a delayed penalty goal. But once again the Falcons started the period strongly and Lizzie Archer netted the game winner a couple of minutes to the third. Unsurprisingly, Archer took home the Player of the Game award for Milton Keynes. Sheffield Shadows faced off against local Yorkshire rivals Leeds Roses in a thrilling home game in Division 2 North. Taylor Simmons opened the scoring for Leeds when she netted on the power play inside the opening 4 minutes. But the Shadows quickly turned things around. They were level at 10:06 when Eleanor Shaw scored a delayed penalty goal from Emma Taylor-Lonsdale. They edged ahead a couple of minutes later when Robin Wilson-Barrett netted after being assisted by Athene Idiabil-Moses and Wallace Fennessy. Jazz Daniel brought Leeds back level when she scored from Morgan Walker late in the second period, but the Shadows were back ahead inside the first 5 minutes of the third, Idiabil-Moses scoring from Fennessy and Wilson-Barrett. The home side netted again 25 seconds later when Emma Taylor-Lonsdale scored from Ellen Key. Leeds pulled one back within a minute when Walker scored from Simmons, but any thought of a comeback was nipped in the bud when Phoebe Gregg fired home on a power play just seconds later. Sheffield's player of the game went to Jess Hughes, with Morgan Walker taking home the award for Leeds. Players' player went to Alia Drury, with the hardest worker going to Kirsty Hodgins. After a nail-biting end-to-end game, neither team could break the deadlock, resulting in a 2-2 draw between the Telford Wrekin Raiders and Widnes Wild. The first period saw the Raiders taking a quick lead within the first 18 seconds of the game, when Heather Metcalf scored from Maggie Whitmore and Cara Gledhill. Widnes quickly answered back with a goal 51 seconds later, Linda Decker scoring from Catherine Fell. Widnes took the lead in the second period through Lisa Gillen just 47 seconds after a restart. The Raiders had to battle hard for the puck and create some smart plays, and that paid off when they equalised with 5 minutes remaining in the period. Michelle Madziak finding the net from Hayley Batsford-Carrington and Gledhill once again. Tiffany Miller was awarded Telford's Player of the Game for her amazing work on her line, along with some beautiful passes and game plays. Michelle Whitehouse was awarded Players' Player for her goal, which evened the score, along with her positivity and leadership on the ice. Player of the Game for Widnes went to Kat Fell. On now to Division 2 South. Streatham Storm recorded a massive 10-0 win over Solent Amazons. Amy Jackson from Natasha Hollingworth and Anya O'Kane from Francesca Thorogood scored in quick succession towards the end of the opening period to set the Storm on their way. A quick start to the second period saw them double that advantage when first Petra Kosegi netted from Sara Lati before the finish forward put home from Anya O'Kane to make it 4-0. Lati would convert a power play soon after, with Olive Broadbank and Francesca Thorogood getting assists. Broadbank would score the next Streatham goal from O'Kane before Larty completed a hat-trick off a Thorogood feed. Further goals in the third period saw Andrea Kereliuk score from Kosegi 3 minutes in, before two late goals from Thorogood completed the scoring, O'Kane collecting an assist on the last goal. A tough loss then for the Amazons, but some good performances by Rosa Kosovic and Selena Payne, who both had their first league matches in net, with Rosa keeping the game scoreless in the first 18 minutes and both making brilliant saves. Amazons' player of the game went to Leah Truman, who played brilliantly and stepped up, keeping the girls motivated and fighting to the end. Streatham's player of the game went to Andy Kereliuk. Slough Sirens welcomed the Streatham Storm to Slough Ice Arena last weekend. Jerry Park of the Sirens and Sophia Kuzaris of the Storm started between the pipes. The home side started strong, with Lucy Mathias having a shot go wide around 2 minutes 55. Esther Haskins opened the scoring at 4:57, assisted by Hannah Martin, to give the Sirens a lead. Both teams had chances throughout the period, including Hayley Schultz for the Storm and the Sirens' Perry Edmiston, who saw her shot blocked around 10:54. Sirens' Ilani Hutchinson then had her chance saved at 15:03. Slough doubled their lead when Perry Edmiston scored a delay penalty goal, unassisted, at 16:06. The penalty on Andrea Kereliuk was for tripping. The second period saw Abby Gray taking a legal hit penalty at 22:46, which the Sirens killed off. But the Storm had a number of good chances through the period, including efforts from Jazz Wilson and Amy Jackson. They would outshoot the Sirens 8-4. Streatham came out strong for the third period, but couldn't make the most of three power play opportunities. They used their timeout at 52:21 to try and find a way back in the game while on one of those power plays, but it was to no avail. Streatham continued to attack, outshooting the Sirens 16-8. They pulled their goalie at 58-16 and pressed in the offensive zone, but were still unable to find a way through. Slough then took their timeout at 58:43 and managed to keep the Storm out, with Jerry Park recording a well-deserved shutout, and the game finishing 2-0 to Slough. Players of the game went to Jerry Park of the Sirens and Sophia Kuzaris of the Storm. After the game, Andrew Day caught up with Slough Sirens forward Elise Willoughby.
I'm with Elise Willoughby, that's with Slough Sirens, just won 2-0 here against the Streatham Storm. How do you think the game went today?
We had a really strong game. We held our own. We played our game and we didn't crumble when they started putting the pressure on in the second and third period.
And what are your thoughts about your goalkeeper keeping a shout today?
Oh, Jerry had an amazing game. She's our goalie. We love her. We always trust that she's going to be strong on the puck and she's going to always do the smart thing, cover it, play it when it's called for, basically.
And finally, how's the season going for you?
Yeah, pretty good. We've had a bit of a mixed bag, but we're doing pretty well. This game, obviously another win for us. So looking forward to the rest of the games. We've got a few home games now, so looking forward to the rest of it.
Brilliant. Well done on the win today, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
The Cambridge Kodiaks hosted local rivals Peterborough Phantoms for the first of 4 meetings this season, with both sides in Division A in the league as well as in the same cup group. Cambridge started out on the offensive and were ahead quickly, as Alisha Anderson scored and assisted at 2:27 to make it 1-0. The Kodiaks continued to put the pressure on, but Katie Plum in the Peterborough net made several big saves to keep the visitors in the game. Anderson then scored again at 10:38 when she picked up a breakout pass from Sophie Heather to race in and double the lead. The Phantoms then started to get into penalty trouble. First, Rachel Mockler was sat for holding the stick, which saw Sarah Carvenan convert on a power play at 12:45, assisted by Anderson and Christina Ashley, before Hannah Messerasova was given 2 minutes for holding. That power play was then capitalised on when Christina Ashley finished off a team move, which included Josie Milton and Sarah Carvenan, to make it 4-0. The period ended with the Phantoms taking 2 bench penalties for unsportsmanlike conduct at 18:50 and at 20 dead. Shortly before the start of the second period, the visiting team's manager approached the referees and informed them they were unwilling to continue the game being abandoned at the end of the first period and being awarded to the Kodiaks as a 5-0 win. Peterborough announced via their social media pages after the game that the decision was made to abandon tonight's game against Cambridge for the safety of our players. Read into that what you will. With 3 more meetings to come between the sides, we await what will happen next. After the game, Andrew Day spoke to Cambridge forward Ellie Goldstone.
I'm with Ellie Goldstone of the Cambridge Kodiaks. Kodiaks just won, Hoddy Bolton 5-0 today. How do you think the game went this week?
I think we come out strong from the get-go. That was always our plan. Basically, the team talk before the game was to come out hard, don't give them a sniff. Obviously, got a bit physical, but that's to expect in a local derby. But yeah, we showed a lot of grit and determination. Put a couple past their goalie early, and didn't really give them a chance. They didn't really cross the neutral zone, and we held our own really. So yeah, it was good performance anyway.
And you were on the ice for, definitely the first couple of goals. What did you see of them?
Yeah, obviously the couple I was on for was just scrambles. Alisha managed to put them away. Wasn't the prettiest, but especially in a derby game, doesn't always matter if they're pretty. She let off quite a few rebounds, and we managed to put them away. So yeah, it's job done as far as I'm concerned.
And good season at the moment. What are your opinions on the season at the moment?
Yeah, obviously we're still unbeaten. Looking to go all the way. Obviously coming up short in the semi-finals at Playoff Weekend last year against Caledonia. So we want revenge on that. Obviously with a new cup competition coming in as well. Looking to win it all really, and so far we're off to a good start. Obviously got some new additions this year with a few leaving us for this season, but with the new additions we've brought in, they've settled in well and see where we can go. But we're looking to go all the way for all 3.
And how are you enjoying the second season there?
Yeah, the team's great, the vibe's great, off ice is great. Loads of improvements from last year, which last year was good, but this year just seems gone even better. So hoping to finish it off even better than what it was last year.
Well, thanks very much for your time, Mary.
Thank you.
Haringey Greyhounds won the North London derby away to Lee Valley by a resounding 11-0. Jay Jones netted a hat-trick in the first period to set the league leaders on their way, the first arriving 5 minutes in on the power play, with Tegan Walsh collecting the assist. The Greyhounds fired 21 shots on the Vampires' net during the second session, but they couldn't find a way past goalie Helen Oates until the final 5 minutes, where they then rattled in 3 in quick succession. Hannah Dolan-Davis netted the first from Yami Mankanda Corliss, before Jenna Johnson put home for Miri Pomeranz and Zoe Standish less than a minute later. Tegan Walsh then completed a scoring burst from Clementine Chandler. Jay Jones scored her 4th of the game at 46-47 when she scored off an assist by Zoe Standish. Clementine Chandler made it 8-0 moments later from Hannah Dolan-Davis before Jasmine Jones scored a delayed penalty goal inside the final 8 minutes. Jay Jones then netted for a 5th time 2 minutes later from Tegan Walsh before Zoe Standish completed the scoring with less than 5 minutes to go when she finished off a move which included Emma Stigter and Miri Pomeranz. On now to the Cup, and in Group 1, Chelmsford Python started their game against Peterborough Phantoms well, playing strong offensively but having to quickly adjust to the higher tempo and the persistent pressure from their hosts, who allowed them very little time and space on the puck. The opening goal went to the Phantoms' most dangerous player, Hannah Mesarasova, who fired home at 12-11. But Chelmsford stuck to their game plan and were back level 54 seconds later when Connie Fiedler netted from Kezia Birchall. Maintaining their momentum, the visitors edged ahead at 16-13 when Katie Smith scored a great goal from Ildi Sumeg-Howard. Period 2 was one of 2 halves. The first part saw the Pythons continue to play hard and create some good opportunities, with Ava Adamson netting a fantastic goal on the power play from the blue line after firing home Katie Smith's pass. But having worked hard to hold a 2-goal lead, the Pythons ran into penalty trouble and took their foot off the gas, which allowed the Phantoms to apply some offensive zone pressure and often trapping them in their own defensive zone. The pressure told at 34:06 when the Phantoms grabbed a goal back, Hannah Mesarasova firing home her second of the game from Stacey Horn. The final period saw end-to-end hockey, with the Pythons producing some good scoring opportunities but were unable to capitalise on them. They held Peterborough for most of the third period, but the home side snatched a late equaliser inside the final 3 minutes thanks to Amy Neverson. The Pythons gave it their all, trying to capture an even later game-winning goal, but it wasn't to be. Having come away with a draw from a winning position must have felt like a loss, but on the positive, it was a draw against a side from a league above. A team that finished third in that higher group last season, a more experienced and physical team, and one that knows how to pressure their opposition. This was a great lesson for Chelmsford defensively, and one they won't forget. Peterborough's player of the game went to Amy Neverson, whose hard work throughout paid off, resulting in an equalising goal. Christina Powell took home Chelmsford's player of the game. Due to issues with the Riverside ice at Chelmsford, the decision had to be taken to postpone the Pythons League game with Coventry last weekend. And finally, we finish with the under-16s. Kingston's under-16s managed a fantastic 4-1 win over Leeds Knights. A really great result to get their first victory of the season. Jess Mallinson made 16 saves, while Erica Proud and Nevaeh Alsop each scored twice. Leeds player of the game, Vakare Vaitilavechute, netted the only goal for Leeds. Emmy Konoplitz earned the hardest worker award for her effort on the ice, while unfortunately Evie Tyra Cresswell sustained a wrist fracture during the game. We wish her a speedy recovery and look forward to seeing her back in action soon. On Sunday, the Midlands Wrekin Raiders took on the MK Storm under-16 girls for their first encounter this season. Both teams played really well, and it was a nail-biting game up until the final buzzer. Maggie Whitmore scored twice for the home side, while the Midlands saw some debuts from Ellie Dowell and Caris Savage, with Ellie getting her first Raiders point. A big shout-out goes to Layla Langrish for getting her first goal for the Raiders, while Olivia Kidd and Sophie Polak-Briggs also registered assists in the game. Bethany Gordon was named Spirit of the Game for her hard work, but don't let her size fool you, she is a force to be reckoned with on the ice. Players' player went to guest netminder Violet Lennon, who made some big saves to keep the Raiders in the game. That's all for this week then. See you all next time. Bye for now.
Please make sure you're following us across all social media platforms
to keep you fully up to date with all things WNIHL.
On Facebook,
follow Ice Maidens, the voice of women's ice hockey,
and check out the website at icemaidens.wordpress.com.
On Instagram and on Twitter.
you can find the podcast
At ZPG Ice Maidens.
and for YouTube.
You can subscribe to Zero Pucks Given.
Please like, follow, share and subscribe.
It all does wonders for spreading the good word
of the ZPG network.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.